And what was the story of how geographic variations might have affected your children?
Right. Well, it had nothing to do with sunflowers and being in front of the barn, but rather we lived at that time right on the boundary between two of the regional market areas that we were looking at in our data system, namely the Morrisville Stowe area and the Waterbury Montpelier area. And one of the most remarkable findings that we had in that was such great differences in the tonsillectomy rates. And I put these kids up on or put it this way, the story that I now tell about the latter scene here was that had my children lived in Morrisville, 3 out of 4 of them would have had their tonsils out by the time they got to be 15. In the Waterbury situation, only 1 would have.
Wow.
And since both my wife and I were physicians, we pretty well assured that none of them actually got a tonsillectomy.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Vermont. These are Vermont's hospital service areas. You're looking at a map of the state of Vermont that you published in Scientific American in 1982. And the small units are Vermont townships, and the larger units are Vermont hospital service areas, each of which has a hospital.
Right.
And these are the 1969 tonsillectomy rates in Vermont. Some areas were right about at the national average. Some were considerably above the national average, and 2 were more than 2 times the national average. Of course, there were also areas considerably below the national average, and in fact, there was one area that was less than half the national average. So the extremes were Morrisville, as you mentioned, which compared to Middlebury had 10 times as many tonsillectomies per capita.